After reading and understanding the case as a human being and believing that we are dominant on every detail of the problem, now it's time to model it in mathematical terms. As you noticed, the case that we are working on is a marketing one. That's the reason you see the title here is marketing application. I told you we are gonna tackle this problem in a more mature way, and we are not gonna cover those elementary steps and those questions, and we quickly jump to this question: what are our decision variables? Here you see the table that you already read it and you are familiar with. The decision variables are those things that you want to get the answer for them. They are not something that determined. They are not something that you cannot change. They are something that you as the manager, you as the decision maker have control over them. You can decide what number they should be. So now, what do you think is those decision variables, especially that I ask you to spend a good amount of time on the modeling before you start this video? We want the model to tell us about the advertisement plan. The advertisement plan should tell us what mediums we should use. This is one part, and also it should tell us how many times we need to use each medium. For example, when we solve the model, when we are asking the consultant about the advertisement plan, we expect them to tell us specifically what medium in what number. When you specify the number of advertisement as the decision variable, when the number of advertisement, for example, for the fifth medium, that is radio, is 0, it means that the model recommends not using this medium. So the decision variables are the things that you see in front of you. We have 5 decision variables. In fact, to each medium, we assign a decision variable. To daytime TV, evening TV, daily newspaper, Sunday newspaper, and radio. For each of them, we have one decision variable, because for each of them, we need to decide about the number of advertisement. For example, if X1 is the number of daytime TV advertisement as a decision variable, if it gives us 10, it means the model tells us during the course of the month, we need to advertise our company 10 times through daytime TV medium. If it is 0, it means that we are not going to do any advertisement in the month through this medium. So we have 5 decision variables that the notation here is the way that you see. It is some sort of initials. DTV is the number of times daytime TV is used. ETV, number of times evening TV is used. DN, number of times daily newspaper is used. And about SN and R the same way. Some of you may ask, for example, because it usually happened about the feedback that I get from the students, they take the cost per advertisement as a decision variable. and they say that we want to make it in a way that minimize the cost, because it is the regular mistake that students make, and that's the reason I'm emphasizing on this. See, my friends, cost per advertisement, as you can see in the table, cannot be a decision variable. Why? Because it is uncontrollable. It says cost per advertisement for daytime TV is 1500. You cannot do anything about that. It doesn't ask you anything about this. You cannot specify the cost per advertisement. It is something fixed. You cannot decide about exposure quality unit. It is something fixed. But the number of advertisement you put on TV daytime is under your control. You can decide 100 times, or you can decide 500 times, or nothing, zero. So decision variable must be something that you have control over, not something that is imposed on you, that is forced on you, that is conditioned on you. So the decision variables here are 5, and it specifies the number of advertisement that you are gonna do with each medium. After this, we go for the objective function. For the objective function, you should go for the things that you want it as maximum as possible or as minimum as possible. There is no limit for that minimum or maximum part. Here, you see at the end, it asks you what advertising media selection plan should be recommended. Okay, about this question, because we want to do our objective function, we should go for the ones that, first of all, are not defined as constraints, as restrictions. We should go for the ones that we can see there is no goal for them. There is no specific goal for them. More better, less better. Here, it is exposure quality units. We want to maximize this one. For each time of advertisement in daytime TV, 65 is the exposure quality unit. And so 65 times the number of daytime TV advertisement give us the total exposure quality that we get from this medium, plus 90 times the number of evening TV advertisement, plus 40 times the number of daily newspaper, plus 60, and like that you continue until you get here, 20 times the number of radio advertisement. As you can see here, you see 65 DTV, 65 DTV plus 90 ETV plus 40 DN plus 60 SN plus 20R. And this is your objective function. Again, the regular mistake that the students do is putting cost as objective function, and they try to minimize it. I agree, it's confusing. That's why here cost per advertisement, we cannot put it as objective function, because you put it, for example, 1500 times x1 plus 3000 x2 and like that, and you try to minimize it. But you should remember that there is no reward for minimizing cost here. Let me show you by reviewing again the problem, the case that is described here. Here it says about the budget. Relax and enjoy provided BPNJ with an advertising budget of 30,000 for the first month's campaign. So it doesn't ask you to minimize it. It asks you not surpass 30,000. That's the main proof. That's the main reason you shouldn't put it as the objective function. Because it doesn't ask you to minimize it. It asks you, please don't surpass this. If you do your campaign with 25,000 and you go to them, okay, I did it with 25,000. They would ask you, why didn't you use that 5,000? Because we have 30,000. So when you have such situation, these things are restriction, not objective function. Because objective functions are those statements that you want them as least as possible. You want them as highest as possible. But here it asks you the budget is 30,000. So it is limitation. So it is restriction. And you wouldn't get any reward if you, for example, make a spending on this advertisement campaign 0. No one would clap for you because of that, and everyone would be critical that because you didn't spend any money because you wanted to minimize the cost, while the cost is not the objective function. The quality of advertisement to get more people know your company is the goal, and we want to maximize it. I hope I convey the main idea about why the objective function cannot be the cost, because many of the students make that mistake, and that's a very sweet kind of mistake. This is a mistake that when a student makes it, you make sure she or he has a good understanding of the concept, but the point is very trivial, and maybe that is the reason I'm telling you need to do more practice. But now, because now you are good with the difference between restriction and objective function better than before, expect yourself not to repeat that mistake again if you did it, if you had done it. So far about this challenge, we have decided about the decision variables as well as the objective function. When you have decision variables and when you have the objective function, the rest is very smooth, although still could be tricky. But when you define, especially decision variables, correctly, and you don't fall in the traps of confusing restrictions with the objective functions, you should be very good for the rest of the path that we continue on the next video. So if you got some new information about this problem, take your time and update your modeling according to the new kind of information and knowledge you got from this lecture, and before you jump to the next video. Thank you.